Big exciting news to start your Tuesday evening as Nancy Pelosi works 1 hour. She worked 1 hour and then went to lunch, went to dinner, and then rushed back in to work another hour. It's just, oh my goodness, that's actually how the news articles wrote it. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, and the fourth wedge met tonight, not the Four Wise Men, but something else, to negotiate your second stimulus check. They met about 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. They met for about an hour, which is about how long she used to meet with Steve Mnuchin. 1 hour to discuss the fate of the United States country, and then they took break for dinner. All on us, all on our tax dollars. And then the news report said that they took an hour, 2.5 hour break for dinner because lobster takes a long time to eat. And so then they rushed back in at 7:30, said the news article. I just can't visualize them rushing for anything. But the great news across the board is Josh and Bernie aren't rushing anything. They have set up a checkmate that, despite what you're going to see tonight potentially getting out at the time after this recording is made about the developments for Nancy, Chuck, and Tweedledee and Tweedledum, you're probably going to see something of some magnitude or much of nothing. But ultimately, that is not going to impact your second stimulus check because Bernie and Josh are promising to basically block it no matter what it is unless there is a stimulus check in there. And they've set up the path. It's all incredible great news. I'll explain more about it. It's a little bit complex, but it's all really good. $1,200 for adult, $500 for children. Meantime, states are sending out stimulus checks. Yes, cities sending out stimulus checks. Tomorrow's the 16th. The 17th, one of the counties, major counties, that has done stimulus checks before is doing another one. So I'll tell you which one that is. Meantime, rent stimulus, food stimulus, and utility stimulus all across the board. It's an exciting night. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to get through this together. There is multiple stimulus checks coming to you in January from Joe Biden, and that's $2,400 for SSI and SSDI. But for now, I want you to get money right now. And with that, let's get rock and rolling. This is Evening at LALATE. Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Evenings LALATE. I'm so glad you joined me in a night in which everything is sort of twisting and turning very quickly as the four corners, as they're called, met in a closed-door meeting, the first time since this pandemic hit, to negotiate a deal, an emergency deal for second stimulus that would go out this week. I'll have more about the details about the first meeting and the second meeting, and certainly all these recordings may be updated on Purple Power, will be updated on Purple Power Live, which will go live after the meetings have concluded. Please subscribe because I don't want you to miss when I go live on this channel. I go live, I go tape. I'm working around the clock to ensure you get money right now. Not 5 days from now, not 5 weeks from now, not 5 months from now. The viewers of this channel have really learned and quickly seen how great the volunteers are and how this channel gets viewers money. I don't have to really explain anymore what this money is. Viewers now understand it. They understand what it is. They understand the community page. They understand what they qualify for. And now the rush is underway to get this money because we're just a couple more days and this money may not be around much longer. So make sure you subscribe. Also hit the alert button and also like this video. It really helps in the algorithm rankings. In tonight's video, I'll be going over what's going on with those four corners in Congress for stimulus. Then I'll be focused on the stimulus check for Congress. Then I'll be back to the states, going over the states and what they're doing, and also state stimulus checks. Meantime, I'll then go back to Congress and cover what's going on in January for the other stimulus checks coming. There's a lot of checks in a lot of places. I know it could be a lot to digest, but I'm here to make it very simple for you. So I really appreciate you for tuning in on a night which is actually quite warm here in Los Angeles out of nowhere. It's been freezing as hell lately. But with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news really is the states first. So let me start with the states. Pull out pen and paper because I want to tell you First, all the state reliefs that are on the path. First, there's state extended benefits. So don't worry about UI or PUA if you're in certain states, because states are now extending weeks of benefits. Those so far are reportedly Illinois and Hawaii. I've heard about New Jersey and New York, but I've not been able to confirm that. That's the first thing. Second, state stimulus checks have been announced to go out, or have gone out, or are about to go out. Ultimately, all these checks are different in every state. They have different eligibilities, the different routing times. Some of them may have already been issued, and similar. Maine, you're getting $600. Colorado, you're getting $375. New Mexico, getting $1,200. Oregon, you're getting $500. North Carolina, $335. City of Houston, $1,200. Pending is potentially New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, and Delaware. Now, let me turn to some counties. Jacksonville, $1,000. Orange, $1,200, which I have more about in a second. City of Houston, $1,200. And Austin, $2,000. Also pending, Escambia County, Fort Worth, Texas, and Gadsden County. Those are for stimulus checks. Now, in Orange, which I've detailed a few times on this channel, Orange County, Florida, on the 17th, which is 2 days from now, there's going to be another $1,000 or $1,200 stimulus check. They've done this a few times. They start them in the morning, and then they're closed up within a few hours. So get ready for that one. That is just a few hours long. You see how these things are sort of quick. All right, now let's turn to state rent stimulus. This is all really exciting news, because rent stimulus is now available in certain cities and counties across the country. Rent stimulus is available in San Diego County, Nashville City, Houston, Harrisburg, PA, Atlanta, and then counties across Atlanta like DeKalb and Gwinnett, and then places like New York City and New York State. All really exciting, great news. So now that you've heard about the rent and the state stimulus, there's also utility stimulus and food stimulus, and I'll have more about that on Purple Power Live tonight, and more in this video if I have time. Let me cut back to what's going on tonight. Tonight in Washington, negotiations underwent an interesting twist, as the four corners, as they're called, the two leaders of the Republicans in the House and Senate, and the two leaders of the Democrats in the House and Senate met. That's McCarthy, Pelosi, Schumer, and McConnell. They met for an hour. Oh, God. I mean, who gets anything done in an hour? It takes 30 minutes for Nancy Pelosi to fix your hair when she's at the table. It's like, what are they going to do in an hour? But they met for approximately an hour. And then the news report said they took a break. Oh my goodness, it's 5 o'clock. Gotta go eat. $12 ice cream, lobster. I was going to start with all that. But they had to take a break. And then the news article said they're rushing back into the room at 7:30. I think the news reporter was having a laugh when they put that verb in. I don't see these people ever rushing for anything. Well, maybe they're rushing for their meal, but they're not rushing for us. That's just not going to happen. Drop in the comments below if you think they were rushing back in to take care of us. I think they were rushing to check the valet parking and the meter in the car park outside. But boy, they came back in, and really what's at issue here is their deadline. Mitch McConnell's made very clear no one's going home until this has gotten done. Now, I know you're going to say Mitch McConnell said that before, Nancy Pelosi said that before, and they have said that before, and they have gone home. But Bernie Sanders is now saying it, and at this point, they actually can't go home. Why? Because Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley have basically said, you know what, we're in the Senate, and we're not going to let you go home because we're going to shut down the government unless you do our stimulus check bill first. How is this happening, and how does this work? It sounds very complex. It's not. It's actually quite simple. Let me explain. You can hear a lot of mishmash coming out of these four corners. You're going to hear something that come out. It may not have a stimulus check in it. It may start in the House. It may have this and that, and you just, oh my God, what is this? This is horrible, LA. And I'm just so upset. I'm just so angry about this thing the four corners do. You may hear that, but ultimately, that's not too much to worry about if Bernie and Josh do what they're promising to do. When they receive in the Senate whatever mess you potentially get from the four corners, Bernie and Josh are going to block any vote on that in favor of it passing, and ultimately block anything for the federal government to stay open, with the following proviso. The proviso is they're going to say you put Josh's stimulus check bill up for a vote and get it passed. Or else, Bernie Sanders has said we are not going home until our stimulus check bill is passed. Let me make that clear again. Bernie Sanders has said you're not going home unless a stimulus check bill is passed. It's a little bit different than what Mitch McConnell said, which is we're not going home. We get a COVID relief package done. Yeah, it's just, yeah, you're worried about the lobsters again. Bernie's worried about our stimulus check. What's interesting is that earlier this week, 2 days ago, the problem creators came up with an idea, which was to take out Nancy and Mitch's two major problem provisions: liability insurance and state and local. And Mitch, and say basically, let's put those aside. Those seem to be really problematic. Mitch has several times in the last week said, I will defer liability insurance to January with a massive Biden stimulus bill. Then, if you do the same thing with state and local, Chuck Schumer has not responded whether he'll accept that offer or not. The last time he said no. This time Mitch made the offer again. It's unclear whether Chuck accepted it or not. Here's my opinion of the situation. Neither of those provisions should be in this bill now. They're not urgent. First of all, who's suing people on Christmas weekend? It's just, what is Mitch worried about lawsuits around Christmas weekend? Take this up with Joe the second week of January. No one's rushing to court in January. Moreover, you can make the bill retroactive, Mitch, so Mitch's liability provision can go back to cases that were filed in December, say they can't go on. I mean, you can take care of that. Then Nancy and Chuck, why are Nancy and Chuck sort of meandering around $200 billion for state and local now for an emergency bill when they've always wanted $900 billion or $400 billion? And Joe wants a big number. Just do it in January. Now, there's a lot of other stuff that's very problematic beyond just the stimulus check. The problematic issues are eviction moratorium and mortgage forbearance has never been delineated well by these people. It's expiring. And then the FPUC, which is just absolutely categorically horrible. They want to do FPUC from now 4 months forward. You know what that means is they're trying to get away with not paying you 30 weeks of retroactive FPUC. Yes, yes, yes. Do you see how horrible that is? Not good. No bueno. So you don't want to support this bill. This is a very bad idea. They do extend PUA and UI. That's no surprise. That's not difficult. But then what else would happen? Well, Joe Biden has promised in his major January bill a lot of things. The question is whether these people tonight are trying to derail those things. Even Democrats? It doesn't make sense. Joe wants to go back 30 weeks and give you $600 a week FPUC retro and then come forward. Well, why are Democrats sitting in a negotiating room and agreeing to go forward, not a few days, but 4 months to the end of the pandemic at $300 a week? That just smells like you're never going to go retro. You're just going to start with a new FPUC right now. That's the first problem. The second problem is much of the options provided by the problem creators are big business options. They're not for you. They're for big business, big bailout business again. The same darn thing over and over again. And last, the concern is that why is Nancy and Chuck doing nothing for the American people? All they're doing is negotiating things for corporate and states. Corporate and states. Nancy Pelosi, had a stimulus check at one point in the HEROES Act. Then reduced it more, and then reduced it almost nothing. And how about hazard pay? She took it out. So what's Joe Biden going to do with hazard pay and SSI and SSDI and all those other things? Well, in January, he wants to give you SSI at $2,400 for the year, $200 a month, every month, all the way up to December. Then he wants to have a new step up that would increase your benefits by about 20% lifetime, plus a new benchmark that would tie your benefits to reassessment every year, and the reassessment would give you the likelihood of getting more benefits every year. That's all really good news. Joe is also promising multiple stimulus checks until the pandemic's over, and that doesn't look like it's until June at this point. So multiple stimulus checks, how much and how many, all really exciting. But, when you hear this stuff coming from Nancy and Chuck, it just sounds like they're working against Joe. Very confusing. In the video right after this, I'm going to go over the cities and states where viewers are getting rent utilities, food, and more. On Purple Power Live, I'm going over rent, utilities, and food, and more that are available in cities and counties in which you may have looked up for free stimulus, can't find it, and you're relatively certain it doesn't exist. Well, guess what? There's nonprofit charities that are paying this rent, food, and stimulus for viewers of this channel. It's all really exciting news. They're doing rent, they're doing utilities, they're doing food, they're doing children's toys, and they're even doing mortgage. What should you expect with Nancy, with these four corners tomorrow? And why is it suddenly like a rush of 2 hours of work today? You could say that Nancy Pelosi's weekend starts on a Thursday, and today's Tuesday, so she really only has one more day left because she goes on vacation starting Thursday. You could say that first. You could also say that it takes 1 day for the House to vote on it, 1 day for the Senate to vote on it, 1 day for the President. Well, 3 days with a Friday night deadline means they got to get this to the floor on Thursday. So how much room do they have to negotiate? Well, this is the first you're going to hear this tonight. They have about today and tomorrow to negotiate. That's Wednesday. After that, they're almost out of days to negotiate. Why? Because Thursday, they got to put it to the floor of the House. Friday, they got to put it to the floor of the Senate. As you sit here today, what's the most important day then? Yeah, you know what you're about to say. Drop in the comments below. I know what you're about to say if you follow what I'm saying. Most important day is Friday. That's the Senate day. Because if this bill is bad, if this bill omits a stimulus check and that Bernie and Josh blow their lid and say we're blocking it, checkmate, then the checkmate day is Friday in the Senate. And that would be the day in which all of America will see if the inability of Republicans and Democrats. I can't even believe I'm saying this, because the stimulus check used to be a Democratic calling point. Now it's becoming a thing that Democrats are running from. They're running from stimulus checks, and Republicans are supporting it more than Democrats. It doesn't make sense to me. But if Friday becomes the big D-Day for stimulus check, boy, all eyes will be on Congress and the Senate like you have never seen before. Coming up right after this is Purple Power Live, in which I go live and answer your questions about CARES Act 1 money, that state usually lose money, and more. And then I'll be answering your questions about what may have happened tonight. That'll be the first live recording since the conclusion of the negotiations tonight in Washington. Really exciting news. Then join me tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for Early Mornings LA, followed by the second recording at 6:30, which, of course, today something got messed up, so it appeared 3 hours late, so it won't happen again. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay in LA.